for me to do it? Do I need it? And no questions asked. The intellect hasn't been applied at all. So what happens? Now you go, you want to buy it, you understand, I can't afford it, I don't need it because my present car is only a year old. And I have other commitments which don't, for which I have not included this car. And then you end up in a hell of a mess where you have reached a point of no return. So you have to fulfill the desire because it's become too strong. It's become an obsession. All this is solved if at the thought level, at the very first thought, you bring in your intellect. I am not saying all desires, or the Gita is not saying that all desires should be dismissed. The same desire for a Honda Civic, if your existing car is 6 years old, if you can well afford it, you have enough surplus, you can afford a Mercedes, and you actually need to buy a new car, by all means go ahead and fulfill it. Fulfill it in as dignified a manner as possible, as nicely as possible, and then you're okay. But unbridled desire is what the Gita is against, because then you're setting yourself up for chintam aparimeyam, immense care. And then you have worries and anxieties, and you can't sleep because that wretched Honda Civic is in your mind. It's nothing in the world, no object in the world, nobody in the world is worth losing your sleep over. And you're losing sleep over the most trivial things. So this is it. And then what happens? When your mind gets into a state of agitation, mind gets into a state of dis-ease, this hyperactivity of the mind results in, it impacts on your physiological processes. So your digestion, you get hyperacidity, your breathing goes abnormal, your circulation gets affected, your arteries get blocked. Somewhere something gives way. So the dis-ease of the mind leads to disease of the body and premature death. So therefore, watch out. You are cutting, chopping years from your life, worrying, being anxious about things that have no impact on your life whatsoever, really. So it's total stupidity to do all this. It all starts with what? Thought, correct. So when you entertain desires, you must be prepared for the desire to remain unfulfilled. And unfulfilled desires cause mental agitation, stress, which impact on your physiological activities, which cause disease in the body. And even if you were to fulfill the desire, in the end, you end up in a situation where you can't even fulfill the desires. You can't eat good food, you can't do anything, you have to live on boiled food and all kinds of things. The whole thing gets very messy. Instead, what must you do? Perform niyatam karma. Just focus on obligations. The entire Indian society is based on duties, not rights. Is based on obligations, not desire. And as you fulfill your obligations, you will find that objects of desire come to you unasked for, unsought, unknown even. Wonderful state of being it is when the world comes to you without your asking for it, without your running after it, without your getting stressed out over it. This is the way to live. The way we are living is not even an animalistic state. It is subhuman, sub-animal also. So when are we going to wake up is the yajna shishtashina santaha. The wise people, the sattvic people eat the remnants of sacrifice. Eat what comes as a result of performing niyatam karma. Next verse.
आशापाशशतैर्बद्धाः कामक्रोधपरायणाः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसञ्चयान्
आशापाशशतैः बद्धाः bound by 100 ties of expectation, given over to lust and wrath, they strive to secure by unjust means wealth for sensual enjoyment. You see, the thing is, a demonic person, most people in the world today behave as if they were born only to indulge in the senses, only for sense enjoyment. And this is the only thing that preoccupies our mind. In India, the primary thing is eating. That's why there's so many eating houses, so many restaurants all over the place. What should we have for dinner tonight? That is the preoccupation of everybody. By the time you wake up, you're thinking of what to have for dinner. And now, earlier it used to be the choice was limited within your style of cooking. Now the whole world is opened out for you. Whether to eat Italian food or Mexican food, that is the problem. So, people believe as if the Gita is not against sense enjoyment. Please don't get this wrong. But that can't be the be-all and end-all of life. Your whole life you can't be programming what to eat, where to holiday, which movie to see, which television channel to watch, and that's it. If you focus on something higher, all this will fall in place. It will come to you unasked for. So Asuric, the most important thing is an Asuric person never enjoys. He's so busy planning to enjoy. He's so busy stressing himself out with the thought of enjoyment that he never enjoys. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat down to dinner and really thoroughly enjoyed the food? Ask yourself, when was the time when you sat down and listened to the music and thoroughly enjoyed it? Never, because the mind is going all over the place. This is it. And then, given over to lust and wrath, given over to lust, desire, and when that desire is interrupted, it causes anger, wrath. So we are caught between these two. In other words, what he's saying is, whether the desire is fulfilled or frustrated, you are still in the agitated condition. They strive to secure by unjust means, anyayena, wealth for sensual enjoyment. Why anyaya? Because through nyaya you can't get it. You've pitched your desires so high that by just means it's not possible to gain all this. Therefore, it has to be unjust. And then when you work against your conscience, that's the worst thing that you do. Your conscience will not let you rest in peace. It will keep bothering you, it will keep gnawing you, it will keep on at you till someday you come to terms with the conscience and decide to follow your conscience. So might as well do it now. Anyayena artham kama bhogartham. So at the end of it all, you need to find out, what am I doing? How much effort am I putting in? What energies am I investing in it? And what are the returns? Everywhere else you look at return on investment. You're not looking at return on investment on yourself, on your life. Take a look at it, and then you'll change. Whereas in the spiritual path, the investment required is only very little. Kinchit, says Shankaracharya. Bhagavad Gita kinchit adhita, Ganga jalalava khanika pita, sakrudapi yena murari samarcha, kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. All you have to do is study little bit of Bhagavad Gita. Once a year here at Bhaidas Auditorium is enough. Not quite. Half an hour a day is enough. Little bit of devotion. Ganga jalalava kanika pita. How much Ganga jal do you drink? Not by the liters and liters, not by gallons and gallons. You take a few drops of Ganga jal. Means little bit of devotion. Just a little shift in your attitude to embrace more people with a sense of oneness. Sakrudapi yena murari samarcha. You worship Murari just once. Worship Murari just once means do a little bit of service. Stretch beyond your normal activity. Do one little act of goodness to someone or the other. And that's enough. The returns are huge. Whereas, when you're pursuing the selfish path, you're putting in so much effort, you're doing so many things, at the end of the day, the result is negative. Take a look at it. Verse 13.
Idamadya maya labdham imam prapsye manoratham idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam.
Today this has been gained by me. I will obtain this object of desire. This is mine, and this wealth shall also be mine in the future. Look at the tone. It sounds like every one of us talking. So, in this verse, he speaks of the physical approach. He's talking about wealth. He's talking about obtaining objects of desire. So, there are 4 steps. 1, this much I have gained today. I have filled my coffers. This desire I will fulfill in the future. This wealth is mine, and that wealth I will have. So they're constantly planning for the future. Your happiness is constantly resting on a future acquisition. But you never get happy because they, as Swami Ramatirtha called it, he says it's snares of 99. Constantly, there's one more to get. There's one little more, one little bit that I forgot. One thing more that I need to get. And that you don't see in the beginning. You see only so much. It's only when you get there that it expands. Like a young student says, let me get that MBA and then I'll be happy. So he gets to the MBA and then the next step is placement. And then he gets a fabulous placement. By the time he's got accustomed to that, then he says, oh, I've got a placement, but in this Mumbai city I don't have a flat. So then he goes to get a loan to get a flat. Then he says, I have to commute by train, local train. That doesn't, I can't do that, I'm an MBA. So he goes, gets a car. Then he has a flat and a car and a job. What is the next step? Wife. See, you all know it. Then he goes and gets a wife, and in the beginning it's all hunky-dory, and then suddenly he understands what is the use of all this without any children. And then he has children, and then that, I don't need to tell you what the future problems are. Then comes admission, then comes babysitter. One day it goes to the mother-in-law, next day the child goes to the mother, and that's how the whole thing is happening. Snares of 99. So, think about it. What are the take-home points for today? Number 1, you can be happy only when you master the senses. Number 2, you can be happy only when you develop a giving attitude. Number 3, when you remove hatred and embrace all the world with a sense of oneness, then you can be happy. Inclusive love. Knowledge of the beyond. What is beyond the world? For all of this, you need to develop your intellect. And that development of the intellect has to be done with Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita. Little bit of study every day. So if you don't have a study plan for yourself, start with chapter 2. We have outside either the book or the CDs or VCDs, DVDs, whatever suits you. You know, an important thing here is in this city, all of us spend a large part of our time commuting from one place to another. And when you're sitting in the car, instead of sitting there and cursing someone or the traffic or the policeman or some other driver, listen to a CD and remain peaceful. That's why even in the US and other places, half your life is in the car. So might as well use it constructively. And then comes control. With this strength of the intellect, you'll be able to control the desire. We're not saying frustrate the desire. manage your desires in such a way that you fulfill the most important desires that you need to. You are able to manage all the other desires with your intellect, and even relatively, before you exhaust all your desires, you are in a comfortable, content, happy position. With this, we end for the day. We meet tomorrow.